Hello, welcome back to part 2 of how to create a school mascot. And as normal, we are going to start out in Adobe Photoshop. And as I said before, all of these are pre-designed. We are just going to go through the steps just to show you how things are done. We don't want to waste a lot of time. This is Adobe Photoshop CS6, and when we're done with this, everything's going to be completed in Adobe Illustrator CS6. And the main reason for that is we are creating a school logo, and typically they need to have a vector image so that it can go on all the different media. And so as you can see here, we're starting out with our basic drawing. We scanned it in, and we have to go about turning this into something that will be useful, because a drawing is only good for the concept. So the first thing I want to do is I want to lighten this image, and I'm going to lighten it to about 45%. And the reason for this is we want to be able to draw on top of this. We're going to basically ink this in Photoshop, and then we're going to transfer it over into Illustrator, and we'll go a little bit more into that. But basically I draw using a Cintiq Companion 2, but for this particular demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and I'm on an Intuos Pro. And the main reason for that is the two different systems don't have screen record. So we're going to use my Intuos Pro just to give you an idea. And I just basically go in here and I will zoom in here. I just start inking. Let's make sure we're on a layer we can actually draw in there. And I want to make sure that everything is a hard line. We're doing a vector graphic, and in this particular case, hard lines work for me. So starting out, I think I'm gonna bump that up just a tad bit, and I just go in and I create, and that's a little thicker than I want, so we'll back that up. I don't think we need it that big. Alright, we'll probably want to do about, say 9. 9 should be good. Alright, so we go in here and I just basically ink all of the areas that I want to be hard line, which is pretty much this whole graphic. And I just take my time and I just draw it. Now, the one thing about doing it this particular way that is better than trying to ink it on paper, when we transfer our lines over, it's going to be nice and crisp. We're not going to have the fuzz from the paper or the inking that kind of expands out, and we have to go back in and clean it. And so this is a good way to eliminate a lot of those issues. And I'm not going to draw the whole entire thing. I just wanted to give you an idea of the process, and I will move here in a second to the finished product. But basically this is how I complete this particular project. I just draw on top of my lines using the brush tool in a hard black brush, solid. No special brush here. This is all just Photoshop brush, and my end result is this right here. Now, before we do anything to go farther from here, what I want to show you is by using line weight, I'm able to give a little bit more definition in certain areas that I want. Like you see, there is some hard line work right there, and this allows me to give more of a depth when looking at the actual item that we're looking at, which is the school mascot here, and it just separates it from being completely flat. It also gives me an idea of where I'm going to start when I start coloring this, where shade is going to be. All these lines that you see going through are extremely important. They are going to show me where I need to actually put shadows and colors at, so that we can get the effect that we want. Now, once you're done inking this, and I cut it right off here at the waist, and I'll show you how we did that. Once you get done inking this, we want to go ahead and we want to select the entire graphic. So we'll go over here, we'll select the whole graphic, and just to make sure we got everything, we want to do select all or similar. We can actually do select similar. That would probably work out a little better for us. And there we go. That way we've got everything that we want, and we're going to just hit copy. Bam. Okay. And from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move over into Illustrator. And from this point on, we're done with Photoshop. All I wanted to really do in Photoshop was just get the ability to draw a freehand graphic, do the inking that I wanted, and from this point out, we are going to do Adobe Illustrator. So let's move over to there, and as you can see, we have a blank page here. I will show you the finished product, but I do want to go through these steps. So we're going to paste what we just copied. Alright, and as you can see, we have our graphic fully here. Okay, now a couple things to note. I drew this helmet down here in the corner separately because I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to put it in the design, but I didn't know that I wanted it in the design. And you're going to see with the finished product that we've actually taken this particular thing and just moved it into the position that we wanted. So here we have our image. We basically imported it in, but it's not a vector graphic yet. So we've got black hard lines here. The best thing to do, and a lot of people discourage this, they say you should go in and do it by hand, but I believe in using Photoshop as efficiently and as quick as you can. It's easier for me to draw an image and ink it that looks like this than it is to sit there and try to create it solely in Photoshop or in Illustrator. So I do my image tracing, and we just click this button right here and hit OK, and it is going to go through this. Now everything we had there is now been turned into a vector. We want to expand it. Okay, then we're going to go up here to ungroup, and the reason why we're going to ungroup is we want to be able to select the different sections inside of here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to ungroup, click off. Okay, now let's just zoom in. Okay, and zoom in a little bit more here. Now there's a box around this, and we're just going to move this box out of there. So we're going to take our selection tool, we're going to click on that, and it is still grouped, so we need to ungroup it again. Let's see here, ungroup. Now let's try that. Okay, so now when we click there, we can hit delete to get rid of that background box that we had, and there's one there. We'll delete that as well. Now we can go through here and we can select the individual pieces and color them. And the cool thing about just importing it over is it made all these areas not hollow, but they're a solid white. So when you click on this area here, you can go up here and you can just change the color. It's this simple. Bam. And so I lay in all my flat colors first, and I just select those all in there. And as you can see, you're able to have the vector quality, but the speed of being able to convert this over to what you want it to be relatively fast. You know, we're gonna do an off-white on this. So alright. And we just go in and we go through and we color this entire thing. See here, quick note, I'm not going to do the entire process. I'm going to show you the finished product here, but one thing that we did do is down here in the corner, we selected all the pieces that we could of this. We just want the helmet, and you'll have to go in and basically select individual pieces if you do it this way. But this allowed us to take this helmet, rotate it, expand it to make it a little bigger, so that we could put it in the position that we want to put it in. Outside of that, the next part that was really important in designing this is we wanted it to have some shading. Now, I do my shading a little differently. I do use our pen tool here, but the way that I go about it is instead of using the actual line, I'm just going to use the fill shape. And so I turn off, which is already turned off here. I turn it off, the line portion of it, or the stroke, and I just use the fill. And the easiest way to do this is to pick the shade that you want your shadow to be. And I just come in here and I'm gonna zoom in so that you can get a real close look. And I just start clicking where I'm gonna add that shadow at. And what you'll start to see as I turn this corner is that you're gonna see a shape start to appear. Now, don't get nervous if it covers up the part that you don't want it to cover up. As you go back, it will revert into the shape that you want it to be. But this has been tremendous on adding vector shades that I want to have in the graphic as quick as I possibly could, without going through a whole lot of things trying to use the pen tool and as a line and then fill it in. This just works out using it as a fill shape. And as you can see here, it is starting to convert back. And the other good thing is you can use the other selection tool, which will allow you to select the points, and I'll show you that in a second, and you can adjust it. So as you can see, it was not perfect going all the way around, but I'm just going to continue this out here. It does allow me to edit. Okay, so we have our shape here. Let's go ahead and select the color that is going to work for us. And so selecting that, we're going to change this to a darker green. And then we're going to grab our other selection tool, which allows us to grab our points here. We're going to click on that, and now we can just start moving these points into the position we want. And so you can do a little tug and pull, or push and tug, however you want to put it, to get your shadows and shades the way that you want them to be. I find this very effective, and this allows you to create the shades that you want to create. So as we move through this, our end result will look like this. Okay, and like I said, these are already pre-done designs that I designed ahead of time so that I can just go in and show you what's going on. And as you can see, I've used our lines that we've put in there to indicate where I'm going to put shadows and shade at. Very important, not just because we want it to look more three-dimensional, but it gives us a good layout and help us move fast of where we're going to put that shadow and shading at. The other thing that I want to show you as well is that we didn't want this to just be a very plain looking graphic, and a lot of times by adding shapes you add a little bit more dimension into your actual image, and this can allow for a bunch of different results. If we take these things out, you still have a pretty complete graphic, but it just looks like it's missing a lot. And one of the other things that I noted too is that in a lot of my graphics I had been using circles, and so I wanted to change it up a little bit, and I thought we should follow the wide shoulders on our Gladiator Ram here. And so I decided to add a little bit more depth and a little bit more dimension to our design, and so I combined a circle and a triangle to complete our graphic here, along with our text. And by doing all of this, we have a complete vector graphic that is appealing, has some energy, conveys the message that we want to convey to our audience, and it's sellable. It's something that you could see any of these kids walking around with, and you have the ability to market this in a bunch of different ways. This can go on hoodies, this can go on book bags, this can go on a lot of different things. Keep in mind that this subject is on football, so each time that you do need to have a different sport, you will have to alter this particular image. I recommend that you make multiple versions of this just for the school, just so that they have the ability to use them, or you have the ability to use them and convey to different sports and activities that are going on. Like I said, in this particular case, it's football season, so we went with a football theme, but we'll have other ones that we'll do later on that will show other mascots, and there'll be different sports. But I hope that you've enjoyed what I've showed you here. I hope that it didn't last too long and bore the heck out of you, but you did learn some very interesting and also educational factors into designing your logo. And with that said, we are going to move into the stage of production, so stay tuned for part 3. Thanks. Please subscribe so that we can blow up this channel. Have a good day.